It's been a couple of weeks since Nintendo's last Direct, and now that the dust has settled, a few things have become clearer for Nintendo in 2024, 25, and beyond. The Direct was widely considered to be a really good Direct, and I definitely agree with that. There were a lot of really cool announcements, reveals, and surprises in the Direct, along with some key information that led to 5 major takeaways that I got about Nintendo for the rest of 2024, going forward into 2025 and beyond. Hello everyone, this is Justin. Welcome to the channel and thank you for joining me today as we talk about Nintendo's present and future. Number 5, Nintendo is not resting on their laurels in 2024. Early on in the year, there was a rumor that later proved to be true that the Switch 2 was now planned to release in 2025, and that led to a lot of negativity towards the Switch and Nintendo for the year, which, in my opinion, was a bit unnecessary and unwarranted. This was bolstered by the fact that Nintendo's game lineup at the time consisted of a lot of ports and remakes, with 2 new games in Princess Peach Showtime and Endless Ocean, along with the Splatoon 3 side order DLC. Not to mention that at their last shareholders meeting, Nintendo stated that they aim to move another 13.5 million Switches during this next fiscal year. And before this most recent Direct, there was kind of an air of apathy towards the Switch in some online circles. News was slow. Analysts and fans alike were wondering how could they possibly hope to move that many Switches with the lineup that they currently had announced. And the general consensus was that their lineup for the rest of the year would follow suit with the first half of the year and continue to consist of mainly ports, remasters, and remakes. But one of those remakes just so happened to be one of their most requested ever in Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. They were pushing it almost like it was a brand new game, and it started to breathe some excitement back into the conversation around the Switch. There are some NSO drops of highly requested games like Golden Sun, more games from ex-Nintendo partner Rare, and just a general more positive outlook on Nintendo Switch Online now than there's ever been. Also, during the Switch era, third-party support for Nintendo is the best that it's ever been, helping them to fill out their early lineup with really good games like Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, a very highly rated Metroidvania and one of the early best games of the year, Unicorn Overlord, an amazing tactical RPG with that signature beautiful Vanillaware art style, the popular card game, I don't know how you say it, but Balatro, and then Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, and a few others. There's been plenty for Switch owners to play during this first half of the year. And now, after the Direct, there's an excitement in the air again, and Switch fans are buzzing. We have 3 big brand new first-party games to look forward to in Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Mario Party Jamboree, and Mario and Luigi Brothership, with Zelda coming really soon, being just about 3 months away, bringing with it an enticing new golden Zelda-themed Switch Lite, which I must not buy. And now, all of a sudden, the wait for the successor to the Switch doesn't seem too bad. Number 4, I don't think that this was our last Switch-specific Direct of this year. Leading up to the Direct, there were a lot of people claiming that it was the last Switch-specific Direct ever, and that we probably wouldn't get our typical September Direct, and that any type of Direct or announcement that we would see after this would be for the Switch 2. But I'm not so sure about that. Typically, Nintendo has a big Direct in September right before the Tokyo Game Show, which this year starts on September 26th, the day that Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is supposed to come out. And there were a few games missing from this last Direct that I think would be prime candidates for a September Direct. So Nintendo just blew our minds with the debut trailer and gameplay footage for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. But prior to that, many were expecting that Nintendo would reveal remasters, HD remasters for Metroid Prime 2 and 3, with perhaps a shadow drop for at least one of them to go with the Metroid Prime 4 reveal. I think that a September Direct would be a perfect time for Nintendo to say something along the lines of, previously we showed you footage for the first time of Metroid Prime 4, aiming for release in 2025. But before that, we would love for you to experience the rest of Samus's Prime adventures. And then they hit us with the announcement for Metroid Prime 2 and 3, perhaps a shadow drop that day with the physical coming out later, kind of similar to how they did with Pikmin 1+2. That would be awesome, and I would love to be able to play through Metroid Prime 2 and 3 sometime this year before Metroid Prime 4 comes out next year. So then we have the forever rumored Zelda games, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. But with the brand new Zelda on the way, I don't think we're seeing those games this year at all. And maybe Nintendo's saving them for when they can offer a more meaningful update, say with like a 4K version for the next Switch to go along with the HD versions for the OG Switch. So I don't think we would see those in the September Direct. But we have the Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War remake that many were anticipating to show up in this past Direct. Noted insider Nate the Hate has been talking about this remake for years now, and on his podcast he stated that it is only a matter of when, not if. So I think that would be a great game to showcase in the September Direct with a 2025 release. And now we have the last remaining Wii U port that fans have been clamoring for since the beginning of the Switch's life, and that is the Xenoblade Chronicles X port. That's a game that I would love to have on the Switch. Xenoblade is my favorite RPG series, and I would love to have the entire series available on the Switch. I'm not sure if it's going to happen now, because I think maybe Nintendo might like to do like a deluxe edition that they can maybe put on the next Switch. But I do think it would be awesome to have it on this current Switch. And if they were going to do that, a potential September Direct would be a great place to show that. That's potentially 3 to 4 big game announcements that Nintendo could make at a September Direct of some highly requested ports, remakes, or remasters that would make fans happy as we continue to wait for the Switch's successor. Throw in an updated look at Mario and Luigi Brothership and some third-party surprises, and you have the decent Direct that people were anticipating in June just in September. Number 3, the Nintendo Switch and its successor will be the best platforms ever to experience Nintendo's history, and one of the best platforms to experience much of gaming's history as a whole. One of the cool surprise announcements from the Direct was for Donkey Kong Country HD. Shortly after the Direct, it was revealed that Forever Entertainment was behind the port. And now a few years ago, back in 2021, it was announced that Forever Entertainment will receive significant financial support from Nintendo to create games for the Nintendo Switch. Now, we don't know just exactly how much significant means, but I'm sure it means more than just Donkey Kong Country HD, and that there will be plenty more HD versions of games from Nintendo's past coming to the Switch thanks to Forever Entertainment. Now, I'm down for Nintendo to HD pretty much all of their games from the GameCube to the Wii, the DS, 3DS. Give me all of those games being able to be played on the current modern system with normal controllers in HD, and I'm a happy guy. Eternal Darkness HD, please give that to me. So when the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack tier was initially announced, it was not met with a lot of praise. Fans were pretty upset at the price, the quality of the emulation, and that many of the games that they hoped for weren't available yet. Now, it's not perfect by any means, but Nintendo has worked to improve the emulation and the catalog of games over the years. NSO and the expansion pack have continued to receive meaningful updates from Nintendo, and now the subscription service has started to see a more positive reception online, with many now saying that they're happy with the service and that it's actually pretty good now. And with the latest update from the Direct, we got Metroid Zero Mission, Zelda: Link to the Past, Four Swords for the GBA, Turok, and Perfect Dark for the Nintendo 64. To me, that was an awesome update. All of these games were fan favorite requests for the service. With Metroid Zero Mission, I believe that every 2D Metroid game, except for Samus Returns, is now available to play on the Switch. Zelda Four Swords allows for fans to play this game in a way that it was meant to be played, but was a lot harder for people to be able to do back in the day because everybody had to have their own GBA, a copy of the game, and it was just real convoluted to set up. Now it's a lot easier because we can do it online, and to me that's an awesome thing. And Rare is a huge part of why the N64 is so finally remembered by many. So the more of their games that we have on there, the better. And Perfect Dark, for me and for many others, it was a game that many hoped and dreamed would find its way to the service, and now it is finally here, and that just made me so happy. And then we had several NSO drops similar to these over this past year with games like Banjo and Kazooie, GoldenEye, Golden Sun, and more. So now NSO has become a wonderful platform to experience so many classic games from Nintendo's past. And one of my favorite things that Nintendo's done with NSO and the expansion pack is releasing the controllers for those systems that they have available on the service. So being able to play these games with the controller that they were designed for, to me, is such an underrated feature of NSO. And since the Direct happened, I've been playing Perfect Dark over the last few days and using the N64 controller to play it, and it's just been the perfect nostalgic hit. It just feels right, and I've had such a blast being able to play that game and to use the controller that it was made for. I didn't have to go to the controller settings and configure anything to get the dual analog control going. I just got my N64 controller, and I was able to play it, and the controller just melted into my hands. It was great. Two other announcements that got people hyped were the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection and the Dragon Quest 1 through 3 HD 2D remakes. And they're just part of a long line of collections, remakes, remasters, and ports from gaming's history that have found a lot of success on the Switch. So on the Switch and its successor, which I believe will be backwards compatible, you can experience so much of Nintendo's and gaming's history, from the NES to the arcades to the Xbox 360, the GameCube games, to Wii games, the current generation, and that's been one of my favorite things about the Switch. Now we just need to get Nintendo and the Pokemon Company to drop those Game Boy and Game Boy Advance Pokemon games on Nintendo Switch Online. Number 2, Nintendo's 2025 lineup might surpass 2017's now legendary lineup. So 2017 was a really good year for game releases, but it was an especially good year for Nintendo with the launch year lineup that they had ready to go for the Switch, along with some 3DS gems sprinkled in for good measure. In 2017, Nintendo released the twin pillars of Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Splatoon 2, ARMS, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for the Switch, Metroid Samus Returns, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, Fire Emblem Shadows of Valentia, and Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions on the 3DS, a lineup that surprisingly mirrors the Switch's last year or so as Nintendo's primary platform. So that was a stacked lineup. 2017, crazy year. But Nintendo's confirmed and rumored lineup for 2025 just might be able to surpass it, or at the very least match it. Officially, we know that Nintendo has Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, Pokemon Legends ZA, and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond scheduled for release in 2025. That, in my opinion, is already a pretty good looking lineup where I'd be buying each of those games and would be loving it, and I'd be good for the year. But earlier, as I mentioned, there's potential for the Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War remake to show up in a potential September Direct to be announced for 2025, which that would be an awesome addition to the year. So let's just go ahead and add that to the list. Now, whether any of these games are cross-gen titles or just playable through backwards compatibility, which I believe is going to happen on the next Switch, that remains to be seen. But those are 4 really good major titles that we might be looking at for 2025. Then we have the Switch 2, which is predicted to be launching with a brand new 3D Mario and most likely a new Mario Kart. Then we have Monolith Soft's next project, which is widely speculated to be a launch year game, which that would fit into their release cadence. On the Switch, they released at least one major game every 2 to 3 years, with a substantial expansion release the following year for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 released in 2017, followed by its DLC in 2018. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition was in 2020, and then Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was in 2022, and its DLC in 2023. So, in my opinion, they are right on schedule to have their next game releasing in 2025. At the very least, we should see it, but I'm predicting that their next game is going to come out in 2025. So that gives us a 2025 lineup featuring a 3D Mario, Mario Kart, Fire Emblem, Donkey Kong, something from Monolith Soft, whatever their next project may be, Pokemon ZA, and Metroid Prime 4. That would be an absolutely insane lineup, in my opinion, and that would more than challenge 2017 for its status as one of Nintendo's best years ever. Number 1. The Switch has the greatest first-party lineup of all time and the best library of any Nintendo console ever. Now, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic or just make a crazy hot take when I say this. I know after a really good Direct, we can get swept up in all of the excitement, and that's why I wanted to give it a little bit of time and let things breathe for a little bit and see if I still feel the same way after the excitement has passed. On the latter point, the Switch having Nintendo's best library across all of their systems, portable and home console alike, I've felt this way since 2019. After the back-to-back release of games like Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Astral Chain, and Luigi's Mansion 3, after having already experienced games like Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and Smash Ultimate, and each year since then has only added onto that for me. In my opinion, the Switch either has the best or one of the best entries in many of Nintendo's franchises, with games like you have Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Odyssey, Smash Ultimate, Metroid Dread, Mario Wonder, Animal Crossing. They're all best in class to me. And getting to experience the Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy on the Switch is one of my favorite gaming experiences ever in my favorite RPG series. Not to mention the explosion of the Splatoon series. Sure, there are some notable franchises missing. We never got a brand new Donkey Kong or Star Fox, but to me, that's not enough to dismiss all that we have gotten on the Switch. Now you add on to that the best third-party support that Nintendo has seen in decades, pretty much probably since the Super Nintendo, where we got amazing games from Square Enix, from Capcom, from Sega. We got franchises and games that have never been on the Nintendo platform before, with like 2K games from BioShock or the Borderlands series. Just so many incredible games from Nintendo, from indies, and from third parties that, to me, it's hands down the best library that any Nintendo console has ever seen. And now to my other point, the Switch having the greatest first-party lineup of all time. In my opinion, the Switch has this off of sheer quantity alone, but also in this case, they have both quantity and quality. Having to only focus on one platform is perhaps one of, if not the smartest decision that Nintendo has ever made. And their output on the Switch has been unmatched because of this decision. Being able to get all of their traditionally home console games and traditionally portable games on one platform has led to there being nearly at least one exclusive game a month from Nintendo. Sometimes 2 or 3. There's an incredible variety of franchises and genres from Nintendo's series represented on the Switch, and pretty much every year of the Switch's life, they've released at least one Game of the Year quality game, if not 2 or 3 in a given year. With many of these series reaching incredible new heights on the Switch, and as I mentioned not too long ago, many of those games are one of the best in their series, if not the best. And if the quality holds up on The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Mario and Luigi Brothership, and Metroid Prime Beyond, which I have no reason to believe that they won't be high quality games, that will only go to further cement my stance. Just to list off some titles, and you can decide for yourself if you think this is just a crazy hot take, but I'm going to just list these off. We got Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Odyssey, Mario Wonder, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3, the Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy, Bayonetta 2 and 3, Astral Chain, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Luigi's Mansion 3, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Metroid Dread, Metroid Prime Remastered, Smash Ultimate, and I could list off more, but I'm going to stop here. The point being is this is an absolutely insane lineup, and in my opinion, it is the greatest first-party lineup of all time that any console, home or handheld, Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, has ever seen. Thank you so much for listening, but I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. What do you think about the Switch in 2024? Will we see a Direct in September? Do you think that Nintendo's 2025 lineup will surpass their 2017 lineup? And do you agree with me that the Nintendo Switch has the greatest first-party lineup of all time? I'd love to know your thoughts, so please hit that like button and leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. I'll see you later.